Hi, this is Victor Canada. I hope you're doing well and also following the story of Luigi, and which it's kind of very sad story overall. But also want to thank all those that have been watching videos and thank you for the interest in the platform as well. I'm really super grateful. But today I want to really try to be specific about exploring an image, especially as we get to know more about Luigi Mangione and the suspect of Brian Thompson, who of the murder of Brian Thompson, which was of course carried out on the 4th of December. As we get to know more about Luigi, I want to specifically do something to analyze his Twitter page, which I did briefly in my last, but I felt like I was missing out on an image that he used for as his cover. The cover image on Twitter had 3 different images connected that he used in the cover image, and I think this image tells a different story, or maybe sends a subliminal message to people, and perhaps this is Luigi trying to talk to us. And I do want to analyze those 3 images and what it tells us about this man. The 3 images, as you know, I'm sure you're seeing that on this side, on this side, either side, I think on the side, the 3 images. One is the image of a Pokémon character. The second is a Spinal X-ray, and the third is the image of Luigi hiking. Now, I think that this might seem unrelated at first, because when I first looked at the image, I didn't really think much to it. But as I began to think about the character himself and Luigi and his situation and what might have happened, I think that there's a lot to say about those 3 images and why he would use them as 3 different images communicating almost the same thing as his cover image. But together, as you put these images together, they tell a story, to some degree a story of resilience, but also a story of vulnerability and a story of it's an individual having a psychological conflict. And in this video in itself, we'll try to unpack what these images reveal or tell us about what's going on in his mind, and also what this case might tell us about being human. Now, this might be, what I call it, episode 2 of my previous video, or a sequel video. Now, let's take a look, take a moment, look at the 3 images that we will try to analyze today. First, the first image, there is an image of a Pokémon character known as Breloom, who is a fighter that is known for its strength and resilience. But the second image is a Spinal X-ray showing metal rods and screws. Of course, I would assume that this is the X-ray that Luigi had taken of his body after an accident or something. And clearly this is someone that is in serious pain, is an evidence of serious spinal surgery or injury. This person is in pain. But the third image or photo, it's a photo of Luigi himself smiling, shirtless, and standing confidently on a mountain trail, and the image itself portrays this physical strength and achievement overall. But it's interesting that this is just a picture of someone and communicating something subliminally. I think this image gives us a glimpse to the duality of Luigi's life, the struggle between his strength and vulnerability, the struggle between his fighting spirit and his hidden pain in the X-ray that we see. Now, the first image that we see is that of Pokémon character Breloom. Now, Breloom is a fighting crash type character. It's known for its resilience, its agility, and also its combat abilities. Now, why would someone like Luigi identify with Breloom? I think in psychology we often use symbols or characters to reflect parts of our identity. For example, in this sense, might represent his fighting spirit through adversity as he faces challenges head-on, no matter how tough things get. For someone dealing with chronic pain or systemic frustrations with the healthcare system, not maybe releasing funds that he needed for his surgery or whatever, a character like Breloom, in this sense, might be a reminder to keep fighting, to stay strong, to persevere and endure through the pain. But what happens when the fight feels endless? And maybe the challenges that he was undertaking, what happens when those challenges become overwhelming? Now, that tells us something why perhaps, this gentleman this young man might have experienced a despair that he couldn't control his fighting spirit. It's gotten to the end of the road for him. Now, when you take a look at the second image, the image shows the metal rods and screws in the spine, likely the result of a very significant surgery. As I'm looking at the image itself, you could tell how painful that might be, and whoever that this was in their body is definitely in huge pain. And this tells a story of chronic pain, of physical limitation, of medical trauma. If Luigi are really dealing with an ongoing pain and complications from this surgery, I think it could have profoundly impacted his mental health. There's no way that he would have this in his back, on his spine, and still not have difficulty with his mental health. Of course, in clinical psychology, we know that chronic pain can lead to feelings of helplessness, feelings of frustration and despair. In fact, when someone feels like the healthcare system isn't addressing their needs, it can create a deep sense of betrayal, as we talked about in the previous video. And so just imagine needing surgery or ongoing care and feeling ignored or dismissed by the system that you trusted. Of course, that sense of betrayal, what we call betrayal trauma, can fester into resentment and rage. But the third image is an image of Luigi himself hiking. It's a mask of strength. And it's interesting because in this image, he looks strong, he looks confident, he looks happy. It's an image, a powerful contrast to the spinal x-ray that also he has on the same image on his cover. It kind of it tells a story of someone who perhaps is kind of pushing through their challenges, presenting an image of strength and resilience. But is it really strength? Is it really resilience? Or is it a mask of something else? But here's the thing. Sometimes when people are struggling internally, they often project an image of strength to the outside world. It's a way of saying I'm fine even when they are not. In fact, in psychology, we call this a mask of strength. It can be a coping mechanism that is used to hide vulnerability, especially if someone feels that acknowledging weakness may, to some degree, make things worse. Now, I want to connect the dots between these three images because there's a psychological conflict here. Because when we put these images together, we see a complex conflict, and the complexity of an individual struggling with three things. One, a fighter, which represents his Luigi's desire to keep going, to stay resilient. Second also is the spinal x-ray, which shows the reality of his physical pain, possibly that one that is an unresolved medical issue. But the third image is his hiking photo, which is an outward image of strength, where it seems like he's masking an internal struggle. Now, when someone lives with chronic pain, feelings of betrayal, and a desire to stay strong, the psychological tension itself can become overwhelming. And so if these feelings are left unaddressed, they can lead to disillusionment. And in extreme cases, as we've seen with the life and case of Luigi Mangione, acts of desperation, which we saw in him taking the life of another man. Now, what does this tell us about being human? Because as we think about what we can learn from this tragic story, there are so many things it tells us about our humanity and what it means to be human. Of course, as I mentioned previously, when the systems that we rely on, like healthcare, fail us, the sense of betrayal can become deeply damaging for some people. And sometimes pain needs validation. So ignoring or dismissing someone's pain, whether physical or emotional, can lead to frustration and despair. Of course, it's possible that strength and vulnerability can coexist. Strength and vulnerability can coexist because even those who appear strong, they may be fighting battles that we can't see. And so recognizing and adjusting this duality is very crucial and important for our well-being. But also, I think it's important to try as much as possible to ensure that we are not isolated, because when we're isolated, the frustration that comes with that can push people into dark spaces or into dark places, as we've seen with the case of Luigi. Now, I think Luigi's story, it's very heartbreaking because it reminds us of the importance of fairness, of compassion, and addressing the need to address hidden struggles that we have before they boil over. Let me know what you think. Thank you for watching. If this video gave you new insights, please like, comment, and make sure you subscribe. But what are your thoughts on the story, and how can we really create systems and communities again that really truly support people through their struggles? It's interesting that this Luigi himself put 3 images on its cover, sending a subliminal message to us that on one hand, I'm a fighter, but I'm in pain, but I'm trying to pull through it. I'm going to mask through the pain. Let's talk about this below. Talk soon. Bye.